Namaste, Kate here with Grow Your Own Yoga. I've been asked by many to share what kinds of props I need to gather in order to participate as a club member without spending a lot of money. So I can understand that. I have amassed a lot of yoga props through the years, and so I will try to whittle down what I would have on hand to participate in most club classes. So the first thing that you're going to need is a yoga mat. If you're a restorative student, you're probably going to want to have the 4mm mat rather than the 2mm mat. You might want to go out and spend some money on a decent mat, somewhere between $50 and $100, if you're going to stick with yoga, right? You don't want one of the super squishy exercise mats because you won't be able to get a nice clean surface to balance. You'll be wobbly. But if you get a super thin mat at Walmart for $10, you're going to be feeling the floor, right? So my suggestion is that you ask Santa Claus, or for your birthday, for a nice mat. I use the Manduka mat. There are many brands that are high quality. Feel free to message me through the website or through the club and let me give you my opinion on the brand that you wish to buy. There are a lot of good quality and even eco mats you can choose from. If you're just trying, then of course a $10 yoga mat from Walmart is fine. Don't feel like you're going to waste that $10 because I'm going to recommend that you do buy a $10 yoga mat from Walmart and that you cut it into pieces, right? Because you're going to be using a chair and a chair mat quite a lot in the restorative classes and even in the intermediate classes. And if your chair surface is at all slippery, the chair mat is going to come in super handy, right? If you don't want to cut the mat in 4 pieces, if you just want to use it as a camping yoga mat or something, or an outdoor yoga mat, you could usually fold those in 4s, and that can be your chair mat too. Let's talk about a folding chair. You do not need to purchase a yoga folding chair. If you want a yoga chair, you can buy them on Amazon. They're quite expensive, $60, $70. You don't need that in the club. But you will need a good quality folding chair. Even if it has a back on it, that's fine, right? But you'll need a good quality folding chair. You may not need a chair mat if you actually have one of those little vinyl kind of cushy seats, and that's okay, as long as it's not a bucket seat. You want just a straight up folding chair that's stable on the floor. You're going to need a pair of blocks, and I want to recommend the nice chunky cork blocks. I bought these on Amazon. You don't need any particular brand. I think they were 2 blocks for around $25. You want a nice thick chunky block because you're going to use them for back bending, standing poses, seated poses. And the cork are perfect because they're soft and they're rounded. They're not hard, but they're firmer than the foam. You can stand on them. So these are, if you need 1 set of blocks, this is preferable to the foam blocks. In my experience, right? Okay. The other thing that I use a lot is a TheraBand, and these usually come in sets of 3. I bought mine on Amazon under Athletic TheraBand. This is the most difficult stretch level. Usually they come in a set of 3, sort of challenging, medium, and easier, and that you will want because some things, and maybe $5 for a set of them, right? But you will definitely get better at lots of things and be able to move and progress up. In certain poses you'll want the one that's super stretchy, and others you'll want more firmness. So it's good to have, they come in different colors in the set of 3, you can tell them apart. Alright, the next thing that you're going to want to have is going to be belts, right? You're going to want to have 2 lengths of belts. That's a for sure, right? You don't need them the first day. The first is the 6-foot belt, and I really prefer the 1-inch belts over the thicker belts, especially for shoulder stand, when we get into doing shoulder stand in the new year, because it's much easier to get on and off around the elbows, right? You don't have to. You can get a much cheaper belt, right? On Amazon, that's 1.5 inches, 2 inches. But if you want to get a high quality cotton belt that you can really just throw in your washer and forget about it, with a high quality buckle, I would go on Tools for Yoga under the belts and just bite the bullet and go ahead and get yourself some good quality belts. This belt is probably 25 years old, right? I also really like her 10-foot belts at Tools for Yoga because these longer belts are used in leg stretches. And the thinner size belt goes in the groin much better than the thicker belt. Now you can buy a cotton belt on Amazon that's 10 foot for $5, and I've used them too, and they're good. You can fold them in half. You do not have to go on Tools for Yoga and spend $20 on a 10-foot belt. If you want to, you can do it while you're on our website and buy a bunch of other amazing things. But you can go with her thinner belt for the 6-foot belt for shoulder stand. Not only if you're going to be practicing shoulder stand, right? Otherwise, any 6-foot belt from Amazon or a 10-foot belt from Amazon will work if you want to be picky at this and you're going to be doing lots of shoulder stand or lots of leg stretches. You want to go to Tools for Yoga and get the 1-inch cotton belts, 6-foot, 10-foot, right? Okay. The dowel, I think you've probably seen me use it. It's invaluable for people who have stiffer shoulders, who struggle to do poses like this, right? We use the dowel in places where the TheraBand is too stretchy and the belt is too flimsy. $1, $2 at Lowe's, 18 to 20 inches. Just go where they sell the wood dowels at Home Depot and Lowe's and pick yourself up one. You'll be glad you did. Right? Slant board, very nice, not necessary, but a little extra thing you might want to ask for in your stocking. A slant board is helpful if you have a short leg. Many people do have a shorter leg. I have a shorter leg. When I take a standing pose and the back heel starts to come up, for many years I was able to really work with the slant board and ease down on the slant board to the point where I was able to keep the back foot down. It's very helpful in squatting poses, which we do a lot of. Work with them, right? So you want to have a way of a nice firm surface. Now you can put something else under the back heel. These are a little pricey. I got mine at toolsforyoga.net. You can roll a blanket up if the budget does not allow right away, but it's something you might want to put on your wish list. Okay, the other thing you want to put on your wish list would be a sandbag, and if you're going to buy a sandbag at all, I also use toolsforyoga.net. I've been shopping there since the late 70s, early 80s. The double-handled sandbag is much more versatile than the single-handled sandbag. And you'll use this in many, many delicious ways to add weight or rooting to certain poses that'll just be divine. Right? So put that on your wish list. That's not a requirement. It's not something you'll need to have the first few months, but it might be something that you'll work into really wishing you had. Okay, a staple that you're going to need are blankets. I suggest at least 3 or 4 Thunderbird blankets. These are a cotton blend. They have the little Thunderbird on them. Tools for Yoga has them. Amazon has them. Just search up Thunderbird blankets. They're thick, but they're not too thick. They're washable. They wash up great. I've probably had this blanket for 15 years. And look, it's in excellent condition, right? You're going to need probably 3 or 4 of these. And if you don't want to buy a bolster, get 4 blankets for $80 instead of spending, $60 on a bolster. Bolster is really a luxury. I didn't have one for years. blankets so easily into a bolster, no problem. I really don't need a bolster, and the blankets are very, very, very versatile. There is my bolster. You see it right there? Boom. And I'm going to use the blankets for 100 other things in every type of pose, right? Now, if you want a bolster, I have two kinds that I recommend. Both are 100% cotton. One is your typical round bolster in an oblong oval shape. This is a very nice bolster for under the knees. It's soft, but I would recommend buying the firm, but research whether or not the bolster is 100% cotton. Some of them have pool noodles stuck in there, and they get misshapen very quickly. This bolster is 10 years old. It's gorgeous, right? Toolsforyoga.net. This one was pretty pricey because it has a removable batik cover. You can buy these on barefootyoga.com. B-A-R-E-F-O-O-T. She's in Seattle. I bought 20 of her cotton bolsters in navy blue and brown when I had a studio, and I think they were like $39, $40 a piece, so maybe $50 retail. And they're a little shorter, but they were 100% cotton, and they've held up great. I have one other recommendation on bolster. If you're going to do a lot of supine back bending where you lay down on your back, you may want a 100% cotton rectangular bolster. These are just delicious for laying over because they have that nice rectangular surface. You can put the shoulder blades right here and really stretch out on them. So that's another don't have to have, but it's something that you may wish that you had as you get into this. Right, so in closing, let's go over the few things that you need to have to be able to function during our classes. A good mat, good quality mat, a folding chair. If the chair has a sticky surface, doesn't have a sticky surface, a chair mat. You need 2 different size belts, right? Either from Amazon, they're maybe a little bit thicker or wider than this, or from Tools for Yoga that are the 1-inch cotton belts from India, right? Your choice on that. A set of TheraBands under the athletic department at Amazon, or even probably at Sports Authority or Dick's Sporting Goods probably has these. A chunky set of cork blocks would be fantastic, and at least 3 or 4 good quality cotton blend blankets that are washable and stack nicely and give you this nice edge that you can then use the blankets for many things, right? The other materials that I've described are optional, and if you sew it all, you can make yourself a little eye pillow carrier and put some little lentils with some sprig of lavender or something and make yourself an eye pillow, right? My daughter, she sews quite well, and she made me some eye pillows with covers, with washable covers. Sometimes you can put glass beads in these or beans or something, and I highly recommend that you have an eye pillow for your practice. Okay, another day we'll go through some of the other toys that I have in the studio, but I didn't want you to feel overwhelmed. I wanted to give you an idea of some things that you probably need to have, and some things that you can put sort of on the short wish list. If you stick with it and get into it, they'll last for years. www.toolsforyoga.net or Amazon, or message me and I will guide you before you make a purchase. Okay, if you need my help and support. So, to our practice. Namaste.